We are officially on the road to 100,000 subscribers as we recently passed 90,000. Who wants to join the family? It's free. You click one button, the subscribe button. Hit that button right now. Trying to get to 100K. We're at 90,000, almost 500. 9,500 and change away. Join Bears Now forever and be a part of the initial 100K. I'm Harrison Graham, and you are watching Chicago Bears Now. On today's show, we got 5 blockbuster Chicago Bears draft trade ideas. All of these trades involve Bears draft picks. So let's get to it here. And how about this first one to kick things off? How about trading for Haason Reddick, who the Philadelphia Eagles have been reportedly shopping as they were able to restructure Josh Sweat and keep him? Doesn't sound like Reddick is long for the Eagles' world. This was my trade idea here. Maybe it's a draft night trade situation. Haason Reddick comes to the Bears. The Eagles get the Bears' third-round pick. I don't think Philadelphia is playing with the position of strength here. I think maybe a fourth-rounder could even get it done. But if you really want to win that bidding war, I think you'd probably have to go with the third. And look, if just talking about the player, the third is probably worth it, right? I mean, he's had at least 11 sacks in 4 straight seasons. 2 years ago, he had 16 with Philadelphia, but he's been very consistent. He's kind of scheme-proof. He's probably been a little better historically in a 3-4, but he can definitely play at a high level in a 4-3. You pair him with Montez Sweat on the outside, that's going to free up Gervon Dexter for one-on-one opportunities on the interior, and we saw down the stretch he was able to really improve last year in his rookie campaign. Andrew Billings can continue to just be a bully in the middle of that defense as well. And again, the reports are that Philadelphia are shopping Reddick because he wants more money than they're willing to pay. Now, that's the part of it you would have to work through. Now, does Ryan Poles want to bring him in and pay another edge big-time money? I don't know if it would cost quite as much as Sweat, $25 a year, because Reddick is older. I think he's about 30 now, or he's going to be 30, but you know, do you give him like 22 a year, 23? Obviously, you would have to structure it in a way to keep this year's cap hit a little down after having a busy free agency spending period, especially with the Keenan Allen trade. But the Bears could make it work. The Eagles are willing to move on. Maybe, just maybe, something could happen here. Trade idea number 2, trade up for Marvin Harrison Jr. If you watched our mock draft earlier this week, going to bring back that trade here. The Bears trade up from 9 to 5, and they send that second-round pick via Carolina to Los Angeles, as that's going to be a very high-value pick. A lot of teams are already valuing next year's draft a lot anyway, and if the Chargers kind of think, 2024 is a transition year, we lost our top 2 receivers, we're fixing the cap for a year, maybe we just get an extra pick next year that's going to be in the top 40 in almost all certainty. And look, reports here, too, are that quarterbacks could go 1, 2, 3, 4. Caleb at 1, and then a combination of Drake May, Jaden Daniels, and J.J. McCarthy could be the top 4 picks. And if that's the case, if you're Ryan Poles, and look, I don't know how he views Marvin Harrison Jr. versus Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze, but if he loves Marvin Harrison Jr., maybe it's Neighbors. There's been reports that some teams like Neighbors more. You get your hands on him potentially at number 5, and you don't have to give up a future first to do it. I think that's very enticing. Now, maybe the Chargers go tell you to F yourself. We're only doing it for your first next year. Okay, fine. You don't do it. I'm not willing to do that, I don't think. I think there's a decent enough chance that one of the receivers fall to 9, or you can get another blue chip player at a different position. I'm not giving up my first round next year, but you've got that extra second rounder from Carolina. That's a valuable pick. For MHJ, I think I would do it. So I want to hear from you. If you want Marvin Harrison Jr. in Chicago, spam MHJ right now. More than once, I want to hear the passion right now from you Bears fans. Get the MHJs in the chat if you want Marvin Harrison Jr. Trade number 3, trade down for an edge rusher. Now, I'm not opposed to the idea of taking an edge at 9, but if a team in that kind of 12 to 15 range is willing to trade up, I think you'll still get one of the top 3 edges in that range. So I got an idea with Denver here. They could move up for a quarterback, maybe get the fifth guy, if they don't want to risk uh, a guy falling to 12 that may not be there. They move up to 9, get Bo Nix or Penix, or maybe JJ hasn't been picked yet for whatever reason. Bears move back, get a third, number 76 overall, plus that 12th pick. And then I think personally, Turner's probably gone at this point, but he might be gone anyway to Atlanta at 8. I think at least one of these three players, if not two, will still be there at number 12. I think 12 or 13 to Denver or Vegas would be the sweet spot if you're going to trade down for an edge and still feel good about getting one of those guys. You could go further, especially with Law 2. Medical concerns could scare some teams off. But if you're unwilling to trade down further, trade down with Denver, trade down with Vegas, one of these teams that could be QB thirsty, and go get your edge that way while still adding a pick in that third round. All right, before we get to our next trade idea here, we got DeAndre Swift jerseys available at chatsports.com/Swift4. He's rocking number 4. Get yourself a jersey, nice quality t-shirt, Nike there. You know it's going to be good. Link is in the comments in the description. Click and shop today to get yourself a DeAndre Swift jersey. Next up, Braxton Jones to the Saints. Let's get a little spicy here as New Orleans is in desperate need of a tackle. Ryan Ramczyk, Dennis Allen straight up admitted at the owners' meetings that we don't know if he's going to be back. That knee is not responding well after last season. Trevor Penning's been terrible, the kid out of Northern Iowa who they took in the first round a couple of years ago. So the Saints are going to be looking for a tackle. This is the idea I cooked up. They don't have a third or a fourth round pick. Obviously, you're not going to get a second straight up for Braxton Jones, but what about swapping second and thirds? Because, again, Braxton Jones is a starting left tackle in this league and could start for the Saints. So you swap 45 and 75. You send that third there, and you pick up a fifth as well. So you move up around, get a fifth, they get Jones, they get your third. I think that's pretty fair. And New Orleans is desperate, so they might be willing to do something like this because with them not having picks in the third or fourth round, unless they get a tackle for sure at 14, which they probably will, guess what? They still need another one. So don't be shocked if they start perusing for tackles that could be available. And let me be clear, too. This only happens for the Bears standpoint of trading Braxton Jones is if Chicago goes offensive tackle with that number 9 pick in the first round. But that could happen. They could take Joe Wall. They could take Fuaga. They could take Olu. And I like Braxton. I think people think I don't like Braxton Jones. That is not true. This guy, as a fifth-round pick out of Southern Utah, is an above-average left tackle. He's just never going to be an all-pro, in my opinion, because his biggest problem is his play strength is limited and his anchor is limited. So when you face these bull-rushing edges, we saw it with Montez Sweat a couple years ago, which is what got him on the Bears' radar. He can get bullied a little bit, but he's athletic. He can move. The problem is if you replace him at left tackle, I don't think the anchor is strong enough for him to be a guard. So at that point, he's just your swing tackle, which is fine. But if I can trade him and get a net day 2 pick, that's kind of hard to turn down, if I'm being honest. Like, if I can turn him into this, if he's not even going to start for me, then you've gotten more than your money's worth out of that pick. You got 2 years out of starting out of a fifth-round pick, and you turned it into like a net third, which is basically what this would be. So I would be more than happy with that if the Bears do end up upgrading at tackle and are able to trade him. Now make the call. If the Bears draft an offensive tackle, what would you do with Braxton Jones? Type T for trade him or K for keep him. And again, worst case, let him compete over there. Let the rookie earn his stripes. Worst case, he's your swing tackle. Maybe he can play some backup guard too, but I don't think he'd be a starter. Like, I don't think you're benching Nate Davis or Tevin Jenkins for Braxton Jones on the interior because I don't think he's strong enough to play guard, if I'm being completely honest. All right, last one here. Trade down for Jackson Powers-Johnson. Now, there's a few ways you could do this. Maybe you trade down twice. Like, maybe you trade down with Denver to 12 and you trade down again to 20 or something like that. But the trade I did here, just to keep it simple, one trade with the Rams. They move up 10 spots, so you get 19. You get their second and a fifth. Moving up 10 spots is a lot. So I think you would for sure net a second. I think getting a day 3 pick there too is possible as well. And the reason I kind of settled on 19 is the Steelers at 20 don't really have a solution at center right now. So I think if you want JPJ, you probably got to pick in front of them to be safe. Jackson Powers Johnson, to me, is the clear best center in this draft. And what I like about him as well is he has played a lot of guard in college too. So like he's not just like center and that's it. He can play guard and he can play it really, really well. So you've got options there. Like even if you don't want him to play center or if someone else emerges for whatever reason, guard's a higher impact position. Maybe he's just your Nate Davis replacement next year. Who knows? I do know this. The long-term center is not on this roster. I feel pretty comfortable saying that. Coleman Shelton is an upgrade Band-Aid option from what you've had last year. And I told you guys I don't love Band-Aid options, but he's a pretty decent Band-Aid. He's better than Lucas Patrick. He's better than Cody Whitehair. I think Ryan Bates is too. I think Ryan Bates is an overall better player than Coleman Shelton, but he just hasn't played as much center. So I'll be curious to see how that shakes out. But listen, you take JPJ, he might just take over right away and start at center. Or maybe he plays guard and maybe you trade Nate Davis to a team in training camp. Who knows? Like he's a really good player. They were at his pro day, so I would not be shocked. Now, I tend to think one of those other premium positions is going to be one they use that pick for, whether they stay at 9 or trade down. But if you trade down to get a lot of extra capital, maybe just maybe JPJ's in play. All right, so we'll cycle back through the 5 trades. You let me know which one was your favorite idea. If you like this first one, 75 overall for Haason Reddick, type 1. If you like trade idea number 2, type 2, it's trading up with the Chargers to select Marvin Harrison Jr. If you like this third pick, which is just a move back for an edge, pick up an extra third after dropping 3 spots with Denver, type 3. If you like this fourth one here, trading Braxton Jones to the Saints, again, only if you draft a tackle in the first round, you get a second and a fifth. They get Jones in your third, type 4. Or if you like this last one, to trade down with LA to get Jackson Powers Johnson, drop 10 spots, pick up a second, also pick up a fifth, go ahead and type 5. All right, there you have it. 5 blockbuster trade ideas with some NFL draft capital for the Chicago Bears. We'll continue to pump out segments like this, so subscribe and turn on notifications. Bear down.